has this phrase that like including in some questions, and that phrase is in terms of. You'll see this relatively frequently. You'll probably see it at least 3 or 4 times per test, and that's good because that's 30 to 40 points. So when you see this phrase in terms of, I want you to always remember that you have 2 options on these questions. You can go ahead and solve them the math way, and there's nothing wrong with solving a question the legitimate, mathematically driven way. And if you're good at math, that's great. You'll solve the question, you'll be confident of your answer, and that's great news. However, you also have the option of being creative, and that is using your own numbers. So I'm going to demonstrate that in a second, but I want you to always remember that when you see this phrase in terms of, it should set off this flashing red light that you can use your own numbers. You can provide your own numbers and then use apply a creative approach. Okay, let's see it in action. Okay, so we see the phrase in terms of, we want it to automatically trigger the idea that we have 2 choices, right? We can either solve algebraically, or we can swallow our pride and use, use our own number, put in our own number. So in this case, we see the phrase in terms of, I bracketed it off right here. It says, if A is 4 or less than the product of B and C, which of the following is an expression for A in terms of B and C. So again, I see this phrase in terms of, it immediately triggers the idea that I have this choice, right? I can use my own numbers. And I'm going to do that here. I want you to see the technique. So it says A is 4 less than the product of B and C. So we're going to make up A, B, and C, and we're going to sort of find that we can't just make them up willy-nilly. We have to make up some of them and then solve for the others, right? So in this case, we know that it's a product of B and C, so I'm going to just pick numbers for B and C. Let's try, I don't know, 5 and 6. And the product of these 2 numbers is 30. Which means that if A is 4 less than the product, so A is 26, the question's asking for A, right? The question's asking for A. So we're going to find the answer choice that says 26, and that's all we're doing here. So let's just look at this. So we have B plus C minus 4. So we said that B is 5, C is 6, 5 plus 6 minus 4, it's 11 minus 4, 7, so good. Okay, and again, we're checking to see if 7 equals our target number, 26. 4 minus B plus C, we already said that B plus C is 11. 4 minus 11 is going to be negative 7, right? So that's clearly not right. 4 minus B times C, right? So it's 4 minus 30, that's negative 26, which is pretty darn close to what we got, but we can see why they gave us that option. But it's not the right answer. Obviously, it's negative 26, and we're looking for positive 26. B over C, that is going to be 5, 6 minus 4. Ooh, that's going to be negative 3 and 1/6. That's no good, right? And lastly, B times C, or minus 4, which again, you could say, well, that's exactly what the question says, and it's only number 6. Again, I just wanted to show you the approach because the questions will get harder. So let's try another one. Y equals x over 4, and x does not equal 0. What does 4x equal in terms of y? So again, let's pick a number for x, let's pick a number for y, again, because we see this phrase in terms of. So I'll pick x first, just because I know that I'm going to divide by 4, and I'm going to pick a number that's divisible by 4. So let's say x equals 12, right? If y equals 12 over 4, then y equals 3. That's pretty straightforward, right? But the question's not asking for y, right? It's asking for 4x. So we have to look back at x and say, okay, 4x equals 48, and that's my target number, right? That's the number I'm looking for. So I have to look at the answer choices and figure out which of these answer choices, when we put 3 into them, is going to equal 48. So 3 over 4 is not 48. 3 times 4 is 12, that's not 48. 3 squared is 9, that's not 48. 3 times 8 is 24, that's not 48. And 16 times 3 is 48, that's the answer. Okay, make sense? All right, let's try a slightly harder one. It says x is a positive integer, and 2 to the x plus 2 to the x plus 1 equals n. What is 2 to the x plus 2 in terms of n? And this is a perfect example of a question for which using your own number makes your life so much easier than solving algebraically. So let's just pick an easy number for x. Let's say x equals, I don't know, 2. You could use 3, you could use 1, you could use 72. 2 is fine though, right? So we're going to replace the x with a 2, so we'll have 2 squared plus 2 to the 2 plus 1, or a third, and that's going to equal n. So 2 squared is 4, 2 cubed is 8, it's 12, so n equals 12, right? The question is, again, not asking for n, right? It's asking for 2 to the x plus 2. So we're going to have to solve for that. So 2 raised to the 2 plus 2 equals 2 to the 4th equals 16, right? So the question we're actually solving for is which of these answer choices represents 16, right? When n equals 12. All right, so again, we're taking 12, putting in the answer choices, circling the one that, picking the one that equals 16, right? So in this case, 12 squared is 144, that's no good. 12 times 2 is 24, plus 1 is 25, that's no good, right? 2 times 12 is 24. We're looking for 16 though. 4/3 times 12. Well, 12 divided by 3 is 4, times 4 is 16. Okay, so looks good. Now here's an important thing. I don't want you to just stop at D and circle it. I just want you to acknowledge that it works and then check the other answer choice just to be safe, right? So let's look at E. We have n minus 1, so that's 12 minus 1 is 11 over 2. Clearly not 16. The reason we check all 5 answer choices is we want to make sure that we didn't, first of all, we didn't make any careless mistake, and second, we want to make sure that we didn't pick a number that has a unique characteristic that makes more than one correct answer. It's very rare, but it happens, and it's tragic when students don't check all 5 answer choices and get the wrong answer. So just check all 5 answers when you're doing these types of questions. But remember, the big takeaway is you see the phrase in terms of, just remember that you can use this technique.